Welcome, guys, to Metallurium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with both because I'm really fan from Varathron since I can't remember when, but what since the beginnings of '90s. I remember when I received for the first time His Majesty of the Swan, great album on the way. It's amazing. So, and now we're talking about the band, talking about from this new album, from this new Crimson Temple, and obviously more things related to the metal world in general. So we start, I think, by asking when a common question. Why the band delay for years to release the last album? 5 years to release the last album, Crimson Temple.
We released, Patriarchs of Evil 5 years ago, yeah. But in the meantime, we were working hard on new songs, and we don't want to rush things. And we want to present quality work. We don't want to just release album. We want to be something special. And in the meantime, we also released a live album and one or two splits, I think. So it didn't felt so long to us. But I think 5 years, it's not an extreme time for a band, for an underground band like Varathron. There are many bands that prefer to take their time and present something worth listening.
Okay. So now talking about one thing that I want to ask is about the cover art about this Crimson Temple, because there is an amazing one from the last year. One of the biggest, I think, one of the last words from the Paolo Girardi. This is Stephen Crimson Temple was amazing. So who came with the idea to create this Crimson Temple? Because for me, it has a reminiscence from the Dante Alighieri from the book, because has the world, the hells, this kind of stuff. So who came with the idea? It was you, it was the band, it was the artist, or perhaps it was the label.
As per tradition, Stefan comes always with ideas for the covers, and this time was no different. So from Patriarchs and the live album, the Glorification Under the Latin Moon, and this one, Stefan comes with an idea in his mind. So we sit down, we write about it, and we try to visualize it. And then, according to his imagination, we seek for an artist. So this time, the actual idea was complicated, so it took us some time to find the right artist. We searched for many, and we wanted something to be done by hand on a canvas, so no digital work. And so we ended up speaking with Paolo. Paolo was the guy that spoke to us, and we share the same passion, same common things about it. So he asked us to do a small draft, because he paints in a canvas with paint acrylics, and so he wanted to somehow see what we have in mind, and that was the start. So it took maybe a month to come up with the details and colors. Stefan wanted to remind Flemish art in 1400 and 1500, and that was it. So we gave him the idea, and I think in 2 weeks he came up with a cover. We were just amazed. We had no words. And also, I just wanted to say on that thing that in the old days we used to sometimes to go in shops and buy albums just by the cover without knowing the band, and just see what the music will be and represented by this cover. So I think if Crimson Temple was back in the 90s, it would be one of these albums that I would buy because of the cover. Yes. And I think it will stay. It's something that will stay. That's about it in a few words.
Yeah, that is true, because when I see for the first time the cover art from the Crimson Temple, say, whoa, I wanted that cover art on my T-shirt, really, because the cover art's amazing. And also, I saw that you create with this Crimson Temple, you create a series, cover arts with like a minor cover art. So, can you explain it more about these minor
Yes,
cover
yes,
about the
yes.
Crimson
This
Temple?
is something that came out of the blue. So we saw the cover and we saw that Paolo did an amazing work. So we thought we'd take it a step further. So reading the lyrics of Stefan and the track titles, an idea came to my mind because of the tarot cards and Renaissance that was about this specific period again. So we thought that we should represent each track by a specific artwork that somehow it will be a piece from the artwork, from the main artwork itself. So that's how we started. Nothing special about like guidance. It was just few sentences. That track, it will be something like that. That track will be that piece. So Paolo amazed us again, and he came up with this 10 pieces of art. And after that, of course, we try to represent it the best way we can through merchandise.
Okay, nice, nice. Now talking more about the composition process for this the Crimson Temple. For me, I did notice a lot of changes compared to the previous one, Patriarchs of the Evil. When you stick with the classic stuff from the Varathron since the beginning, but with this new album, you take more roads. I think some influence. I think some from influence from a progressive side from this new album, other kind of things. Obviously, atmospheric, also this kind of stuff. So how was the composition process of this new Crimson Temple in 5 years?
All right. Actually, many people told me that it's quite different from Patriarchs of Evil, but I think that's mainly because of, I guess, of the production. I don't know, but the tracks, 3 tracks or 4, they were already in progress when we were recording Patriarchs of Evil. Two of the tracks were recorded during Patriarchs of Evil and didn't felt like they were complete back then. We wanted to work on them further. So we actually re-recorded the tracks now for this album. Another track was composed before Patriarchs of Evil in a rehearsal. We recorded it with our cell phone, and it was actually jamming. So we composed it all together right there in the studio. And one track was Sotiris' work. The second track, which is Hegemony of Chaos, is mainly Harry's composition, and I threw there my ideas and lead and other melodies. But I think most of the progressive elements come from Harry's, which was also one of the important composers in Untrod Corridors of Hate, where you can also listen to these progressive elements. But all in all, I think that it's still close to Patriarchs of Evil. It's still, if you listen many times, you can always find there the classic Varathron elements, which, for example, when I compose, I always listen to the demos, to the first albums, to all our discography, and try to take what I like in our previous works and reimagine them, rework them, and bring something new, but based on those feelings, based on those classic ideas. So all in all, yeah, that's the way we work. I'm the producer, so I gather all our ideas from the years. I compose. I create the demos, and then it's also I work further while producing. After we record the stuff, I throw many ideas like keyboards and stuff like that. And I think one of the reasons it sounds a little bit different, it's all the Middle Eastern elements and instrumentations and orchestrations and maybe the choir. I think so. That's my opinion.
Okay, nice, interesting details about this new album. Oh, now talking about now talking about a little about the history of the band. Oh, you Achilleas entered to the band in 2004, and you Stratos entered in 2012. So you are like, so how was your approach to the Varathron at the first time? So like, how was your experience to enter to the band in 2004, and Stratos your experience to enter 2012?
All right. I was 16 years ago. It was 2003 when I got into the band. And back then it was only Stefan. So Stefan moved from Athens to Ioannina, and he was completely alone. And actually, my guitar instructor, my guitar teacher back then, where I was young, knew Stefan from the gym. They were training together, and my teacher told to Stefan, I have a kid which is a metalhead, and you might want to meet him. He's young, but he's talented. He likes Varathron. And this was the way I got to meet Stefan, and he really liked me. He really liked the fact that I was humble and was ready to work hard. And back then in Krausrein, the songs were already composed by his previous lineup. And I brought Harris into the band, the drummer. He was living in the same apartment, in the same building. And after some years, I was studying in Corfu, an island. And actually, Stratos was my teacher in university back then. He was doing his PhD, I think. So I met him there. He just came from England. You can say the story, Stratos, if you want.
That was back in maybe 2010, 2011. So during my research, I had to do some classes in the university. So then Achilleas was attending one of these classes, and we had a summer festival. So he was helping with the audio from back then. So he was wearing a Varathron t-shirt one day. So I asked him, I basically didn't ask him, I just told him, like, very cool t-shirt, man. And he told me, this is my band. I play on this band. And that was a big surprise for me. It's like, this is your band? So like, and it started like a joke, and then we became friends and share some music. We were been listening to music. We were hanging out around for beers and stuff like that. So then I think Stefan and Achilleas were start talking about doing a split EP. So Achilleas asked me if I wanted to record some bass for the emissaries of the Dark and Cold. And that was it. Simple like that. And since then, things are getting better and better. We are a strong band, as I can believe, and I can explain that to the big friendship. We're just a big family, So I think that's the key as well for what we do.
Okay. Interesting anecdotes. So with this question and with these answers, before you entered to the band for both, so what was your perception of the Varathron as external musicians? Because Achilleas mentioned about they know they know Stefan at the beginnings of 2000s. You know the band as an outsider of the band, but now you are in the band, so you have two positions, like the outsiders and now you are the insiders of the band. So how was your perception since the beginning for Varathron? Because for me,
Right.
it's a legend.
See, sometimes when you are on stage, sometimes you cannot still believe about it. You know, you can feel it, but you still cannot believe it. My first listen was in a Greek metal hammer CD. I can remember it was back in the 90s. So it was one track there. So that's how I came familiar with the band. And as soon as I joined until now as an insider, I just try to enjoy everything. Nothing lasts forever, you know, so I just try to enjoy everything. And when you're on stage, I told you, it's that feeling that you cannot explain, you know. You feel like you're doing this and you could easily be at the crowd, but you're on stage, and I don't know, it's a weird feeling. Sometimes, you know, you cannot still believe that you're experiencing it.
Yeah, I was actually very young. I'm 20. I realized that I'm 20 years now in Varathron. So 20 years have passed since I was 16, and I started listening to extreme metal at 14. So there was only 2 years after I started listening to this music that I got into the band. And back then, Varathron was the only legendary band that came from our city in Greece. And it was from back then my if I could imagine myself in a big band, because Varathron in my mind was a very big band back then, and it was very weird to become so fast part of this legendary band. So I don't have many memories, but I just you know, thinking of myself, I was a kid, and all of a sudden I was in Varathron. It was very weird, very weird, but an amazing experience. It's crazy to be 16 years old and record a new album for a legendary band that was actually not very active back then. So it felt amazing to be part of this reincarnation.
Okay, nice, nice. Oh, speaking of this legendary topic from Varathron especially, and thanks to the book from thanks for the right of the abyss, I found out something, because usually when you speak with a lot of people around the world, these kind of people talks about the first band, or the first black metal band that released an album was Rotting Christ. But according to the history, that in this book talks in the rites of the abyss, talk that is His Majesty or at this one is indeed the first album of the into the black metal scene. No Necromantia before that, no Rotting Christ before that. Even I saw that the from the people from Rotting Christ played first in Varathron and then played in Rotting Christ. Those are curious things. So how was your opinion about now Rotting Christ has the most known band from Greece, but according to the history, His Majesty of this one was the first album from Greece in the black metal scene.
Well, I don't know if we can call His Majesty the first black metal album from Greece, but according mainly to Stefan, Rotting Christ were formed a year before Varathron. But Rotting Christ used to play grind. Noise in the first demo and grind in the second demo. And back in 88, when Varathron were formed, they started playing with a new vision. I mean, Stefan and Mutilator wanted to form a band that would play like Celtic Frost, like Sarcophago, like Early Mayhem, like, you know, Bathory. and wanted to play indeed black metal. Something new, something darker, something more satanic. So back then, in the era of the demos, were just Rotting Christ that were playing grind, and Varathron started playing black metal. I think that's the reason why historians, and according to Stefan, it's the first band to play black metal from Greece. But I can't say that His Majesty of the Swamp is the first black metal album. I'm not sure about that. But in the era of the demos, I think that's truth. Varathron is the first band to play black metal in Greece. I don't know, Stratos, if you want to add something.
No, I think I'm gonna cover. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not, I don't know, it's not a competition. We are all there doing what we do and promote Greek, Hellenic black metal.
I said this because when you see the release day or the release month from the Mighty Contract with His Majesty of the Swan, it's the same year, but His Majesty of the Swan was released in August 20, and the Mighty Contract was released in November 11. So technically, technically,
all right.
Technically,
I didn't know that.
Black metal. Technical album, technicality, His Majesty of the Swan, it is the first album from black metal from the Greece in general. Oh, I should mention in their demo era, it's also I know that, so that's a curious one. That's a detail that I know with the album The Black Rites. No? That's a curious thing that I know. And also talking about from this book, Black Rites of the Abyss. That's a great book. I got it here.
You have the book?
Yes, I got the book here.
Oh, right.
I read all the book because I'm really interested about the Greek scene into the black metal. So did you have the opportunity to read this book? And if you read it, it's according to the history that you live at that time?
Achilleas,
δεν κατάλαβα, Στράτο.
I will repeat the question. So did you have the opportunity to read the book Rites of the Abyss? Because this is the history of the black metal. And what's your opinion about the book? Are you agree with all these matters that this author talk?
Yeah, I think so. I know the guy who wrote the book. He's actually writing some stuff for Varathron also now. Can't say much, but he's doing a huge work for Varathron right now, the author of the book. And the guy knows his stuff. He knows what he's talking about, and I can only learn more from this book. I don't have an opinion. If you know what I mean.
Yes.
He do his investigations, and he knows what he writes.
Yeah, that is true. I learned a lot of things about this book about the black metal from Greek, because here is very different. When a demo was a CD arrived 3 or 4 years later of the release, because it's very different. So now, well, interesting point. So now talking about especially from the Greek black metal scene in general. So what's your point of view now? Because the Hellenic black metal has more important, it's more important now than the 90s or even the 80s, because a lot of bands now came with a personal sound. Now you can easily to recognize a band from Greek with the sound of Rotting Christ, Varathron, Necromantia, and also many things. So now, how is your opinion about the Greek black metal scene compared to the Norwegian, Swedish, and Finland?
Right.
I think what is weird for me is that I'm going to tell you how it felt here in Greece. When I went into the band, when I went into Varathron back in early 2000s, there wasn't a feeling that there was actually a Hellenic scene, an important black metal scene. Back then, there were some well-known bands from Greece. That was Rotting Christ, Septic Flesh, Nightfall, but that was it. And all of a sudden, about 10 years ago, this thing exploded. I mean, all of a sudden, there were so many new bands that stopped copying the Norwegian sound and came to appreciate our roots. So all of a sudden, we have many, many bands that try to play the way the early Greek bands used to play. So I think now we have a strong scene, but that's only because people in Greece finally understood that we have our own sound, that there is an important legacy, and stopped only supporting and copying Norwegian bands, because that was it's beautiful every country to have an identity. It's beautiful to hear a band from Mexico, from Brazil, from France, from Germany, and no, these guys are from that country. Or even a band from Mexico you can hear now and say, oh, these guys are influenced by the Greek scene. Or you can hear a band from Germany and say this band is influenced by a Latin America band. So it's finally happening that there's more appreciation to the identity, unique character of what country gave birth to. I don't know if my English are good right now, but what I'm trying to say is that finally new bands have come to a point to appreciate the roots and the unique identity of its country sound, and not just copying the fucking Norwegians because it was a trend.
Mm-hmm. And just to add something on that, and that's how about evolution comes as well. So younger people now appreciating sound, just try to come up with newer stuff as well. So it's not only about copying the old bands, but just try to incorporate different elements as well and different things. So I think Hellenic black metal is getting broader now. So it's good to know. It's good to know about that.
Okay.
But now, I mean, there are thousands of bands in Scandinavia that play exactly the same thing. It's not that bad. It's not that bad to have a country that has an identity in its own bands. I mean, what I didn't like all these years seeing is that especially in Scandinavia, they support their own bands, and sometimes they only support their own bands that play exactly the same thing. And what I felt is that it's time now that we all embrace our identity and not try to be something else.
Okay, nice to know. So now returning to this,
I want to add something about that, and it's also that Greek scene and Greek bands have started working more, and it's not only about the music. Are more focused now, paying attention to every single detail. They're going touring. They're getting things more professionally done. So it's not, of course, it's the music, but it's the whole thing now. I think we were lacking, of course, about studios and equipment in the old days, but now we have everything. I think that people are more focused, so they're just getting professional on every aspect. That's how the Hellenic sound as well is getting more popular these days.
Okay, thanks for this. Thanks for your point of view. Now returning to the promotion of this new album, and we are very close also to this interview. So what plans do you have for this to promote this new album? Perhaps you will embark tours, present videos, or who knows what kind of plans? Or perhaps you already has more songs for the new album.
Right. So by the Crimson Temple, it came out on the 1st of December. So we had some track premieres through our label. And after that, after like putting songs out on video, we just did one official music video and two lyric videos, like simple videos. And then after that, we just need to promote it by visiting countries and play our music. So our schedule is quite busy. So nearly every single month we have one or two shows, and that will follow by one big tour in the summer. I cannot say much, but it will be announced, I think, on the 15th of February, and it's gonna be close where you live, I guess. So yeah, after that we continue. The band is fully booked for 2024, and we got few shows booked on 2025 as well. So it's really busy. It's gonna be really busy 2 years. Just coping with work as well, you know, and just try to balance everything. But we're more excited just to spread the new music out and see how people will feel about hearing these songs live as well.
Okay, thanks for this information. Now, one of the last questions is about usually when I spoke with a lot of bands doing black metal, is I remember when a black metal appears in the 90s, or in the 90s especially, or perhaps on the 90s especially, and also these scholar people doing books, doing documentals of black metal, talks about it. The black metal born in the 80s with Merciful Fate, with Bane, with Venom, or these two bands, or King Diamond, and also Lizzie Borden, that because these bands talks just about Satan, but musicality is not had to do with the black metal. Actually, it's very far from this. But according to these people that are doing studies, the first wave of black metal appears in the 80s, and the second wave of the black metal appears in the 90s with a lot of bands. So, in general, for us here in Metalero, we spoke about this situation, and for us, the black metal strictly appears for us in the 90s with the Scandinavian, Greek, and Swedish, a lot of bands. This is the first wave of black metal. In the 80s, the black metal scene was more like Battery, like the only band that create, or Sarcophago from Brazil. But the other, that Merciful Fate, Venom, for us is not black metal. It's more like
Hellhammer.
Hellhammer also. Hellhammer also. But so for you, what's your opinion about this subject that the scholar people say that is the black metal starts in the 80s and not 90s?
Well, for me, when I started listening to black metal, and I was born in '87, so I can't have a strong opinion on this. But back then, when I was listening to the '80s stuff, it didn't felt like black metal to me. '90s was black metal for me. But if you ask Stefan, he will tell you that, yeah, black metal was born in the '80s. For example, I don't know, Stratos, your opinion?
I think that question is somehow has to do with the general ideology of the music and not the music as musical notes and style. I think it was more the occultism and the satanic concept than then gradually formed into what we call black metal. It's more or less the same question: who created heavy metal? People say Black Sabbath, or people say maybe Kiss, or Rush from Canada. I'm not there to answer this question. I'm very happy that we have all these genres exist, and that's about it for me.
Okay, well, guys, the sad times arrived at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one like me. I know a lot about this Crimson Temple because I really like this album. As I mentioned, I love the cover art. I hope someday you will release in a t-shirt, or perhaps in a long sleeve, or who knows, a pullover, because really, or hoodie, sorry, a hoodie, because really like the cover art. So perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans that expect you return here, perhaps this year, next year, who knows? Or perhaps, and obviously, Metallican followers.
I just want to say that we feel like Latin America is just a second home, and okay, we will visit hopefully this summer, and we'll feel very proud to be there, and very honored every time we play. And for the guys who listen to Metallarium and who watching, thank you for supporting Varathron all these years. Much appreciated.
Metallarium is doing a great job. Really quality work.